Welcome, Emma. This is the Breaking Loops podcast. Thank you for coming and being with us today. I'm your host, William Wolf, and this is the wonderful Emma Norton.
What's up?
What
Hi,
up?
guys.
We do multiple podcasts, and we're actually working on Emma's Dilemma podcast together. So we didn't even know which podcast we were doing today.
Fully thought that this was going to be mine because we do it in the same space. So I prepared all these questions and things like that because it was for mine.
So we're going to be double hosting. We're going to do podcasting for podcasting today.
Yeah, I guess
I'll ask you questions and you ask me.
And this is actually getting posted, I hear.
This is getting posted. Yeah.
I only say that because he's apparently done so many other episodes and we've yet to see the light of day of them yet.
I've done many podcasts now, and many podcasts have not been posted.
Is there any reason you'd like to share with the class on that? I'm curious.
Yeah. I've chased this perfectionist issue a little bit where
I'm very familiar with that.
yeah, you're familiar with
Yeah.
it? Where all the practice and all the podcasts that I've done, the most important thing about the podcasting to me has actually been the conversations. That's the whole
That's good.
That's the whole
Hell yeah.
inspiration and the reason why I want to do it.
Yeah.
Now, putting them out there on social media, I know
Scowy.
yeah, it's
Scowy.
I know it's the second you start, you can't really stop.
No,
So-
especially if they were to do, say, presumably really well with the people that you have on, they're also equally as interesting as you. So, if it does really well, you're no longer a hidden figure on social media.
Yeah, the anonymity, is that how I say it?
Anonymity?
Anonymity? I heard Frank Ocean say that the internet made fame whack and made anonymity.
Frank Ocean?
Frank Ocean.
Yeah,
made it
I mean,
cool.
that makes sense. Frank Ocean definitely has made that very clear. He feels that way.
Yeah,
He did
he's
it
like
the previous Coachella.
everybody know. Did he say it?
No, but I just think that in the way that he functions in general, how the Coachella performance went down kind of, I think, explained a lot about him. That's a huge deal to be performing at Coachella, and obviously is not great for the anonymity.
Yeah,
right.
he's wonderful.
He's amazing, yeah.
Frank's been one of my favorite artists ever. I remember the moment that I first listened to Blonde. I had two of my really good friends. We were in Kelowna, Canada, and we were all broke. So I didn't even have headphones or anything.
Yeah.
And it just came up in conversation.
It's so good.
They were like, "You haven't heard Blonde before." And I heard everybody talk about Frank Ocean being like, "Oh, he's so good. He's so this, he's so what." And I thought he was top 40.
Yeah.
I thought he'd be radio pop kind of music. And I just
right.
listen to that. So I got
oh, it's trendy. Well, I'm not part of the pack.
yeah, I'm not part of the trendy pack. And my buddy, he gave me Beats headphones.
Yeah.
Which,
shout out to him.
I was still the corded old iPhone headphones then.
Yeah.
And so it was cool to wear those because I don't know how many times I'd really worn those.
Beats headphones were also really big, I think, at a certain time, and still are.
Yeah, it was during that time when it was
they were popping off.
Holy,
I remember that.
Yeah, you've got Beats headphones, man.
Yeah, you were the shit.
Yeah, so he gave me the Beats, and then they were take a joint, go for a walk, and I went and I laid down in a field and I listened to the whole entire album, start to finish, and I was like, "This is a masterpiece."
That's regal as fuck. That doesn't even feel real. You went to a field?
And
just listened and laid down to Frank Ocean?
Yeah.
I think I need that in my life right now.
I actually, I'll always remember it.
I need that right now.
And then it was the soundtrack to that summer out in Kelowna. And it was a beautiful summer. I think I was 21 years old.
I think it's just music that transports you to a different place.
Yeah.
I mean, you were already in a field, so that's a good place to start.
I was
but
in a good place.
His music really does. I feel like it's transcending.
Yeah.
And I feel every range of emotion listening to his music. I think that's what really makes for me, an artist that stands out as one that can kind of make me feel every emotion or make me feel something really deeply. And I love his music. He's fantastic.
So good.
I'm still so sad about his Coachella performance. Coachella's coming up again.
But what happened?
It's more what didn't happen.
Yeah, I heard it was very... Yeah, because...
So I think he was 2.5 hours late, and then he ended up getting cut off at the end because he was so late because they have a curfew for Coachella. And it was basically just his security guard shaking ass for like 30 minutes of the performance
Like,
because they were
hey,
because
we
they were
need you
all
to
just like,
entertain this crowd.
"What do we do?" And
Yeah.
so yeah, he just had his security guard backstage doing that, and he was gonna have like ice skaters on stage,
Mhm.
and they just melted. He like last second was like, "Actually, no, we're not doing that," and they had to melt down the ice, and it was like this whole thing. I'm
Oh.
pretty sure that's accurate. But yeah,
Coachella seems like the last type of place that I would expect him to want to
same. I
perform.
think that that's why people were so excited about it was because they were, he hadn't performed in years at that
Yeah.
point. And I mean, I love Frank Ocean so much, but that was not really Frank Ocean performing. It was his security guard and, um, you know,
I remember.
ass shaking.
Do you remember? I think it was like 4 years ago now, though, when like there'd be hints at a new Frank song
Hmm.
coming out or album coming out or
Yeah.
whatever, and it's just like, and now everybody's. If that man ever drops another album, I will
Yeah.
absolutely freak out.
I think everyone will.
Yeah,
Everyone will freak out for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's a king. I get him
I
though.
just hope he's okay. I think that
Yeah,
like
yeah.
to be going through all of that and that amount of pressure too is crippling. And like kind of going back to how we got to Frank Ocean and got to, you not posting your podcasts yet, which you should. Um, it is scary. It's really intimidating. I think that it's a big leap to decide to no longer be in the shadows, to put it, super dramatically. I'm Batman.
I'm
Right. But I think that you definitely should. I think that the world needs more of you.
I'm
So
gonna, and
you should.
everybody watching or listening to this podcast right now will know that I have.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
if
Hell
they're
yeah.
hearing this, that means that I took that leap. And yeah, it's an exciting thing. I don't like to have fear drive any aspect of my life, but
Easier said than done.
yeah,
Yeah.
easier said than done. And I've had a state of tranquility in being around all these creators
Yeah.
and celebrities or anybody with any type
We're in
of
a
fame.
crazy world for sure.
We're in a crazy world,
A lot of eyes.
and being one of the people who I get to be involved in a lot of things, but I don't ever have to deal with the attention. I
Yeah.
see when the attention burns, and
Yeah.
fame and tranquility can never really lie in the same bed as each other.
No,
So
I don't think so.
yeah,
I don't think so. I
you,
don't think that they can coexist. I think
no,
that you can find balance between them separately so that both of them feel like they have their own space to breathe and to exist within your life, but I don't think that they are one and the same ever. I know very few people, if anyone, who would be able to describe it as an equal experience.
yeah, as so many people in their introduction to fame, they may really like it, but it's like soon as you get that first burn, soon
Yeah.
as you get that,
Which is bound to happen because we're
bound to
all
happen,
human and,
bound to happen.
we all make mistakes. We all do things, in the dark. We all, have parts of ourselves that need to be better. And that's part of being a person.
Hmm.
But a lot of other people don't always agree with that.
But how, on the contrary, how brave it is, though, and
I think so.
to we get to have these conversations with our friends all the time, where it takes a certain type of person to want to step out there and put their whole entire life
That
on
it
the internet,
does. You have to
because
be
the
really
internet
brave.
is crazy.
Yeah, the internet is a very strange place. I mean, I started when I was like freshly 16. I don't know how I was that ballsy to do that. I still am that ballsy.
I think at 16 you don't understand the consequences
Maybe,
yet. Yeah.
maybe. I
So
don't
it's easy to
know. I think it's one or the other a little
yeah.
bit, but to be in high school and to, be like, yeah, I'm gonna be on the internet and have everyone hate me in my school or, things like that.
Well,
That in itself was probably the real thing that I thought about.
how did your start happen? Did you just start posting? Was it Musically or TikTok?
It was TikTok.
It was
Yeah, it was
TikTok?
TikTok
Yeah.
for sure. I think it was just me. I had so many friends that had been doing it. I mean, so many people say the same thing
Mhm.
on this is that friends are doing it. I thought it was dumb until I tried it and then was like, oh, sick.
Mhm. You're like, this
The
is
end.
cool. This is cool.
Yeah.
And how was your takeoff? We've never actually talked about this.
Like how did it all start?
Yeah, yeah. Was it a
Well,
slow burn?
in
Did
my
it happen
room, I
fast?
decided to make a song about how my mom was 5 months pregnant and didn't know that she was having me,
Mhm.
and had margaritas while I was a fetus. And then I decided to post that.
A song.
Yep.
Okay.
That wasn't really a song. Don't find it. But yeah, that's literally how I started on the internet, was a random song about that, of all
Did it
things.
blow up?
It did well. It did well. But the entirety of the people that were in the comments were like, it became like a safe space for people who were like crack babies and things like
Yeah.
that. And then I
Okay.
was like, oh, that's not what I meant to do. Hi guys.
Yeah, I'm
So
Emma.
sorry.
I just did that.
What's up? Like, I think that I didn't really have the concept of like digital footprint
Okay.
at the time, nor did I really care.
Yeah.
And I don't regret it. It was funny. So, but then I just started to make more videos about like various like movie scenes that I liked. Like I did like a Harley Quinn kind of scene,
Mm.
and then that really blew up.
Mm.
And that was kind of how that went on. So I don't know how we went from Harley Quinn to songs about margaritas as a fetus. But that goes to show how strange I am.
Yeah, you are a strange one.
Yep.
And we love this about you.
Yeah.
The
So weird. I don't know what was going through my mind. Yeah.
weird is good. I once upon a time I thought that the term weird was a bad term, and now when somebody says I'm weird, I'm like, I know. Thank you.
I mean, hey, there's no hiding it from me
Yeah.
anyways. Like if I wanted to not, participate in that kind of behavior, I would not be able to. So
No.
I really just wear it on my sleeve, and the way I dress, all the things.
Well, you're authentically being yourself. And I find that it is much more difficult to not be authentic,
Yeah.
to wear a mask, to
Yeah.
be something other than what you are. And you're somebody who does it so well.
Thanks.
You're somebody who's very
Oh, I
authentic.
appreciate
Yeah,
that.
it's
I
awesome
try to
see.
be. I mean, hey, I think that you can definitely find some ease in being I think more easily digestible for everyone around you. But I feel like early on, me having like some kind of near death experiences and like health issues and like family members passing away, I was like, damn, what the hell am I doing? Like, I'm just gonna do this for me.
Mm.
Like, whatever. Fuck whatever else anyone is doing. I'm not gonna do what everyone tells me to do because they say I should.
So
I'm
you,
gonna
we-
do it because I want to.
you went through some hardship,
Yeah.
and
I'm really grateful for it though.
yeah, isn't it weird how trauma and hardships are like the most difficult parts of your life, and then you look back on you and you're like, I'm
Thank God for it, dude.
grateful
I
that
think
that
that
happened.
I think that without those things, it would be a lot harder for me to have perspective
Mhm.
on what's important. And I think that I have a more valuable, meaningful life because I experienced the harder things at a really young age. But that's a choice.
Mhm.
I think it's a choice to decide to take something away from hard shit. You can either kind of sit there and wallow and be mad at the world, which I definitely did a little bit of that for sure, or you can move forward and take it with you so that when other people kind of come along with that same anger, that you can meet them in the middle.
I read something once. It was a writer talking about the difference between heroes and villains, and
Oh, that's
the
cool.
the difference is that they actually have really similar storylines. A villain will have scraped up face, the scar, looks beat up. You can tell he came
Right.
from
He had a
some
bad day.
some rough upbringing,
Yeah.
often like the orphan, and same with the hero. You look at like
Yeah.
Batman, parents died early, and
I
Superman.
mean, really hard
yeah,
story.
yeah,
Really messed up.
hard stories, but
Yeah.
the similarity between the villain and the superhero is they both had villain and the hero is that they both had hard upbringings,
Mhm.
and then the superhero or the hero said, I am the way I am
Because of what
this.
happened. Yeah.
And the villain too is saying, I am the way because of this, and
Yeah.
now I want everyone else
To be in
Yeah.
misery with me.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. I don't think I've ever thought about it quite like that or have it articulated like that, but that's really true.
Yeah.
I think that those heroes and villains live among us too.
Yeah,
You
like
know?
how many of your friends do you meet and they're going through a rough time and they're just like, man, like if this didn't happen, then I wouldn't be like this. I'm like, that's a villain talking right now. That's a victim mindset talking. to me
Imagine
right
you
now.
just are like, shut the fuck up, you villain.
Oh, I sometimes
I think
I get a
sometimes
little
you
harsh.
do
Yeah.
need someone to do that though. I'm really grateful for the friends in my life, especially in the space that we're in, to be like, hey, Shawty, you're wrong. Like, that's important to have someone tell you that. Cause I think that part of what you were saying earlier about, like, being in the spotlight, dare I say, um, can be definitely a negative thing as well. And watching people become really successful, and when they reach that point where they either mess up or things are going really well, and then they lose sight of what's really important. It
Hmm.
can create all sorts of different downward spirals. But I think that
Hmm.
if you know who you are without social media and you hold on to that, I think that that's the most important thing.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, having those accountability friends
Yeah.
are really important. It's
I'm so grateful for those people in my life.
oh, it's an incredible thing to
Yeah.
have. And you meet so many people out here in Hollywood that they come here and they don't have those friends. They don't have that. And you see their egos just start blowing up in kinds of crazy ways, and
Yeah.
they start acting a certain way and they don't have
It's a whole
anybody.
circus.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a whole circus. It's hard to watch sometimes.
it
I got to
is.
admit it's a little bit funny, but it's not good.
Well, yeah, it's like I see the dangerous loop that you're walking
Yeah,
into,
yeah.
and I see this pattern that's happening in your life, and
And
we've seen
damn.
it happen 1,000 times before. Do not think you're any different.
Right.
Yeah, because
Right.
so many talented people fall for it. Where
Yeah.
when you don't have people to hold you accountable for who you are, where you came from, because
And who you are without a screen.
yeah, without a screen, like we
Yeah.
all
We're all just people.
we all walked into this world naked and afraid,
Right.
And,
So true.
yeah, we all walked in naked and afraid, and
Yeah,
we're
and
just trying to
sometimes we're
figure it out.
still feeling that way. I know I feel that way all the time still.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it can be tough to navigate. What are the things that you would say were the earliest lessons for you as you were first coming up on TikTok? Because you
Mm.
were in Colorado,
Yeah.
correct, in high school
Yeah.
when you were first blowing up.
Yeah.
And so many people that I talk to that when they're blowing up in high school, it's like you get a mix of people are stoked about it, people are envious
Yeah.
about it, people
Yeah.
just want to talk shit. I hear so many people drop out because of it and
I mean, there was some kids that played my TikToks like on the loudspeaker.
on the intercom.
Yep.
Oh no way.
Dirty motherfuckers. No, no, I think that there was definitely that same experience, to put
Mhm.
it in short terms. I think to kind of elaborate on that more, I always did performing arts. I was a theater kid,
Drama
still a
kid.
theater
Yeah.
kid. I might not have been screaming Hamilton at the top of my lungs, but I still participated. And yeah, I think that having that sort of community helped me a lot. Because it was like a bunch of kids that were very into the performing arts like I was. And I've kind of viewed TikTok as a performing art. And I think that me already having that community with those people helped me a lot in
Mhm.
being okay with other people not really digging it.
Mhm.
It definitely was hard. I mean, like, I didn't love seeing some of my friends kind of just like the subtle digs and the passive aggressiveness, and you learn who your friends are and who wants to be your friend for the wrong reasons really quickly.
Mhm.
And I had some really dope friends too. Like, I have a friend I'm still super close with. Her name's Quinn Taylor. She's a badass, and she was I think like 2 or 3 grades above me,
Mhm.
and was inexplicably kind to me, and was like, don't even worry about whatever anyone else has to say. Like, this is just, it might feel like forever. High school feels like forever when you're in it, but she taught me a lot about nothing lasts forever, and that can also be a really positive thing. But what will last is the lasting impact that you have on building something of your own.
Mhm.
And that helped me a lot with reframing how I was feeling, because I was feeling pretty alone. I mean, there was one time that I was kind of afraid to go to parties for a period of time, just because I don't know, I didn't want people to be like up in my grill talking shit about me. Nobody really loves that.
Mhm.
And it was like this 4th of July party, and these kids literally tried to launch fireworks at me. And it was fucked up. Like, I went home crying. I feel so bad for my parents that they had to kind of watch me go through that. But I think that being very much in my face, and me being in the acting industry for a long time, like going out to auditions and having a grown man tell you like you're never gonna amount to X, Y, and Z as a 13-year-old is crazy.
They got
And
problems
also,
doing that.
fuck you, bitch, see me now. But I'm grateful for that because like hate comments never meant anything to me. Because
Mhm,
when you have someone in your face as a kid being like, you know, you need to be everything that you're not,
mhm.
after bearing your heart for your literal dreams for an audition over and over and over again and still doing it, I again, I don't know how I had that grit as a kid, but it's carried very heavily into my adult years.
Kudos to your parents for putting you in it though,
Yeah,
and
and
allowing you
kudos
to
for
learn that.
them still encouraging me no matter how much it was hurting me.
Mhm.
Because my parents were really, although I don't think they understood the TikTok part of it, I did hide it from them that I was doing it for like at least like a month or two. And then I had to tell them because I had 400,000 followers.
Oh, you grew 400K that fast?
And
The
then I was like, oh, this thing, but it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it.
It's only like 4
Yeah.
football stadiums more than that
No,
of
yeah.
people watching me right now, and it's happening really, really
I was
quick.
like, it's fine, but like I should probably tell my management because I did have management at the time
Yeah.
that was, helping me with that, which saved me a lot of trouble as far as like content houses trying to take advantage of a young kid.
Oh,
So I'm
yeah.
grateful for
Yeah,
that.
because
But
you blew up right in that time 4 years ago,
yeah,
right? 2020?
weird time.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
feel
yeah.
like a real time.
Hey, come on, just live with all these other kids experiencing
And
the
I was
same
like,
thing.
yeah, hell yeah, dude. Hell
Yeah.
yeah, brother. Sounds like a great idea. I get to move away and be in Los Angeles with all of these people who are cool and famous. But yeah, grateful that my parents were like, that's funny. No.
Mhm.
I was very mad at them at the time for that, but I'm grateful for that.
Yeah,
So yeah.
that ended up working
I
out
was
for the better because none
pissed.
of those really, a lot of creators ended it like kick-started their careers in a
Yeah.
great way,
Yeah. And it totally could have done that,
and they
but
got that out of it, but then a lot of people got burnt at the
oh
same
my
time.
God. I'd say majority of
Mhm,
people did.
mhm.
Yeah.
I was on the other end of it. We were we were heavily looking into starting a house,
Okay.
and that was like a heavy interest for a while. At first, I was
It
like,
was a big deal. That was the thing to do.
yeah, we were like, we got to do it. We're a creator company. Uh, this is what a fantastic way. Like,
Yeah.
and I thought,
It is like an incubator for
yeah, it's like
everyone
an
to just
incubator.
collab and,
Yeah,
hopefully befriend each other, or it's an
rip each
incubator.
other's throats out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for everyone to underlyingly hate each other and have it be, party after party, mess after mess, and a
Mhm.
bunch of kids who don't know how to be adults because why would they?
Yeah, no, they're
You know? So there was a
still
lot of that.
kids. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would go to these places. God, this literally feels like lifetimes ago, which is so strange because I am really young. But I think that the pace of life that you and I live, and a lot of other creators live, kind of make it feel like time goes by faster.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, like I would go over to these places and these people would be miserable, and it would just be a mess. It'd be like a dirty frat house,
Mhm.
and that I'm very grateful I did not experience.
Learning how to live on your own
Yeah.
with several other people,
Yeah. I
but you're
always lived
responsible for
alone though when
yourself.
I did end up coming here when I was young. I like just turned 17. I might have been like still 16 for a little bit. And yeah, I'd always lived on my own, which was I'm actually really grateful for.
But think about how crazy that is. The average
Yeah.
kid does not move to LA at 16, 17
Really?
years old,
Really?
live on their own, do
Yeah.
any of that. And many adults, that's actually their dream.
Yeah.
So you got to do
Yeah.
that early.
And I'm really grateful for that. I mean, it's because of people being interested in what I had to say and do that
Mhm.
I was able to do that. And I'm still every day I have to wake up with so much gratitude that people still care.
Mm,
And I
good way to
definitely
live.
want to take that seriously. I think it's also your responsibility as a creator to give back what's been given to you too. So,
Absolutely, it is.
yeah.
How now you said you grew 400,000 followers in
It was
2 months?
something like that. I don't
Yeah.
know how long it was. It
Fast.
was a
Yeah.
couple of months.
Yeah.
Um
And
I
how
don't even know. It was kind of blurry.
what was your growth rate? Like when would you say was the craziest time for you?
I
What had
remember
happened
that there was a day that I gained like 1.5 million in a day.
in a day?
Yeah.
Was it a specific video or was there a bunch of them?
I think it was a bunch of them.
Really? So
Yeah.
you were just popping.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it was a bunch of them, and I don't know, that was really surreal for me. I think that I think that after experiencing things like that, where a couple other creators that were, doing it at that time, experiencing that growth rate, you have to completely reframe your mindset after
Mhm.
that because that's just not how the internet is now, usually.
Mhm.
Very rarely. I mean, it's much more saturated now.
Mhm.
And I think it's much more important to know what you have to say and who you are now than it was back then. And I think it was a lot more just fun, which I envy. I wish it was still like that, but I don't know. I
Never
clearly have to
know.
reframe because TikTok might be exiting stage right.
Yeah.
So after all that, after all those years of blood, sweat, tears, and TikTok dancing,
But what you can take out of it is that those were the years that you learned how to become a creator.
yeah, and I'm
So
so that can never be taken away from
that can
me.
never be
You
taken
know,
away from you. And
no.
not knowing the future of what's going to happen here at TikTok, we have no idea what's happening with
No, it
TikTok.
seems like that's happened 6 times now, so we'll see.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For those listening, a bill just recently passed
Yeah.
in Senate stating that they will ban TikTok if it's not purchased by a U.S. entity.
Yeah.
So big deal for
It's a huge
TikTokers
deal.
out there. Now, how would you give advice to other creators experiencing a similar problem where that's your main platform and you got to make some changes?
I mean, I think that it's also beyond creators, I have to say too,
Yep.
because there's so much of, people who are business owners, who are, creators just as much as they're business
Yep.
owners and they completely depend on TikTok for their income. Or people who are doing TikTok shop and things like that. I think that just first and foremost, I just am really sorry. And I hope that, you know, before I try to give advice on
Hmm.
what to do, I hope that everybody right now is doing what you can for your mental health and you're doing what you can to just be okay,
Hmm.
because I know that I'm gonna be okay without TikTok, and I know that, like I said, that I can sit here and say I learned how to be a creator,
Hmm.
and that I met some of the coolest people, and I had some of the craziest life experiences as a very young woman.
Hmm.
Um, and I can let that go and take myself out of that, but I don't think that everyone else can, because I
No.
have other streams of income.
Hmm.
And I can't sit here and pretend like I'm being as impacted as everyone else. I might have like almost 10 million followers on there, but who cares really? I can, live without TikTok. I can be okay. So first and foremost, I just hope everyone's okay, I think.
Yeah.
Um and I think B, obviously I won't give the perfect advice. No one will. But I really hope that people are willing to talk to people who are on other platforms that they're not as familiar with. And that, I think that the best thing that you can do for yourself to improve is to ask for help. I know that I am always doing that and always trying to get better at asking for help. And I just started on YouTube with you guys, which is awesome. And I'm so excited
That's
for
fun
that.
so far.
But I wasn't able to do that for so long because I didn't know who to ask for help and I didn't know how to ask for help. And I didn't know how to get myself in better situations. And there was a lot of times where I was super frustrated about that. That's not to say it's going to be a perfect road down for everyone to, rebuild on other platforms if that does come to that. But I would just say ask for a lot of help. Like it's a great time to ask for help and to be willing to fuck up a lot.
Yeah, in a world where a lot of creators are kind of ostracized, like
Yeah.
they're singled out and they're doing it on their own. A Something I found before coming to LA was you could go to pretty much any city in America and you're gonna find a few big creators who
Yeah.
live there,
Yeah.
but they typically don't actually have like huge friend groups. They don't
Mm-mm.
have massive community because
No.
it's a it's a rare career path that you garner all this attention on,
Yeah.
and it requires a ridiculous amount of work, like so much work. But because of the amount of work that it requires, people will master one platform
Yeah.
because that's where they took
Yeah.
off or they're
I
doing
did
good
that
on.
for a very long time.
And
I really was primarily on TikTok for years.
you gotta completely relearn to be on anything else.
Yeah, pretty much.
And you saw we got to see it a while ago with Vine was the
Yeah.
big one where
Yeah.
when
God, rest in peace,
rest
Vine.
in peace Vine.
Forever and ever. Simpler times.
Yeah, I hope people aren't talking about TikTok one day like that like we do Vine because now
Oh
that enough time has gone
God.
by, I'm like, that was a chaotic
I know.
but funny ass time.
It was great. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I was kind of thinking about this earlier, about how, like my parents, I wonder what they think about when it comes to nostalgia, like what's nostalgic to them. And
Mhm.
I'm wondering what in like even 20, 30, 40 years for us, for this time is going to be nostalgic.
Yeah,
Because I
because
even think about that just like 4 years ago or 5 years ago or, 10 years ago.
it was the newspaper, it
Yeah.
was radio, it was
Right.
then TV, it was cable news.
Completely
Yeah,
different now.
and now it's social media. It
Now
was
it's
long
hitting the
form.
whoa and, all. Like, that's just gonna be so damn funny. I'm so ready for my future kids to be like, "Jesus Christ,
This is
mom,
what you
like,
guys
stop
were
dabbing."
doing? Yeah. I saw
So
it
ridiculous.
it has this crazy impact on our psyche.
Yeah.
And I
You're
heard
telling me.
Elon Musk talking about it once when he was like
Mr. Musk.
Mr. Musk
Yes.
when he was on Instagram, he was like, I found myself taking selfies. And then he's like, when I'm not on Instagram, I was like, what am I doing here? Like, why was I taking selfies? And you start to like
That's
analyze your
funny.
behavior because we really
Yeah.
are a herd like species, like monkey
Mhm.
see, monkey do. When you're on a certain platform,
Yeah.
well, before you're on TikTok, I wouldn't what those TikTok dances, like you said,
Yeah.
anybody who's not on, it's kind of like, ooh, whatever, whatever. But then you get on and you're like, it becomes your new norm
Yeah. I think it's
because
interesting because funny you should say monkey see, monkey do because we have this thing, I don't know if you're familiar with it, called mirror neurons. And it literally, like, when someone sneezes and then you sneeze, or is when someone
yawn.
yawns and
Yeah,
then you yawn, or like you said, someone does a TikTok dance and then you're like, oh, wait, maybe I should be doing a
that looks pretty
TikTok
cool. I
dance.
could do
Yeah,
that.
maybe I should do
Yeah.
that. Like, or when someone goes to take a sip of water, then you kind of want to inherently go get a sip of water. Things like that that we don't even notice subconsciously. I think that an interesting thing to question is, do we have free will now that social media exists subconsciously? Because these mirror neurons are something that literally within our chemistry kind of take away that when we're so engulfed in so much media. Like I can't say off the top of my head how much it is, but it is, you see thousands and thousands and thousands of images every single day that subconsciously are impacting us.
Mhm.
And to pretend like they don't is, I think, ignorant.
To believe in free will.
Yeah, because I think that if I was not on social media, I think that, say I didn't have anything downloaded and I wasn't consuming the level of media that I constantly am every single day, I might think completely differently.
Well, you would think completely differently.
Yeah.
And it's very, very important that we often ask ourselves who is doing the programming in our own mind.
Yeah.
And that's a big reason why they're thinking about doing this ban.
And it makes sense.
It
I
does make
do
sense.
really understand. Um, I just don't think it's simple.
It's not simple. It definitely
Nothing
is
is
not.
simple.
No. What's beautiful about socials is although much of it seems like it's out of our control and you go on your For You page and you're just going to see whatever entertaining things it is,
Yeah.
I do find though that some platforms more than others, but all platforms, they actually cater to your interests.
Yeah, 100%, which I'm actually super grateful
Me
for.
too.
I have access to so many dope things. I know we're kind of like breaking it down to all these kind of depressing things about
Mhm.
social media, but I agree. I mean, like, I find so much artistic inspiration from my social media because
Yeah.
my For You pages are, various artists and, reels and fashion and so many things that I'm really deeply interested in and want to see more of.
Yeah. And honestly, like the mind is everything. What you think is what you become. What
Yeah,
you see, what you hear is what you think.
it's very
That
true.
results in who you are. And
Yeah.
so the information that we feed ourselves on a constant basis, we slowly start to become that information that we're soaking in. That's our programming.
Yeah.
And I think it's beautiful, on the contrary to what everybody likes to talk about in the pessimistic behavior
Yeah.
with who's actually feeding the things that we see. I've realized that when I really hone in
Yeah.
on what type of content that I want to see, what type of content do I want to consume, I start to be shown that type of content. And for me, I love philosophy. I
I have
love
a lot of that on
education.
mine too.
And
Yeah. It makes
honestly,
me really
it
happy.
makes me super
It makes me a
happy.
better person
Yeah,
too. I think it
yeah.
actually, like, especially when I'm having a bad day and I see someone talking about, a philosophical question or a way to improve or whatever that is, I actually feel so much better.
And it leads you to questions such like you'll hear a quote and you'll be like,
Yeah.
where who said that quote?
Yeah.
That really spoke to me. Who said that? Okay.
It can
Can
become
I
educational.
yeah, now you go searching for that individual's philosophy. You go
Yeah.
looking for those books. You then start educating yourself in that realm. And I
I
like
love that.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's constantly got me asking good, solid questions that build up a great foundation of thinking.
Yeah. I think that if you are I think it's really important to do this at the start of every new year for me too, to decide even like who to just unfollow.
Mhm.
Because there's some things that I know that when I was like 16 years old, my For You page does not look like how it does now.
Mhm.
And I think it's amazing that I can have access to that same information that you're talking about because uh it's not always like that. And I think that if you don't treat it with caution and you don't realize that the things that are a part of your diet are not just food.
No.
It's the media that you consume as well. It's the people you surround yourself with. It's how you take care of yourself. It's all of those things. And I know that when I was younger and I was consuming a lot of just
Garbage.
bullshit.
Mhm.
Yeah. Uh it was horrible for me and it sent me down so many spirals and so many dark paths and so many issues with body image and so
Mhm.
many issues with my own mental health and I didn't even realize that I had an issue. Like I was fully under the impression that all of those things were good because say for example like fitness influencers
Mhm.
who are teaching you about all of these absolutely screwed up diets and things like that. That was something I really struggled with as a young woman, thinking that all of those things were helping me to be healthier, helping me to be happier, because that's how they're advertised as by so many creators. It's really important to realize what is a load of crap.
Mhm.
And it sent me into so many dark places because I thought that I was being healthy until I realized that I was literally starving myself off of these influencers that were telling me to do all of these things.
Mhm.
And so you have to feed your mind and you have to feed your body. And I think that social media is an amazing way to do that. It absolutely is for me now. But to pretend like those sides don't exist, I think would be ignorant as well. And important to talk about because I wish that someone had told me that when I was younger. And I think in schools, there should be classes on how to be safe when you're consuming all of that.
Yeah, unfortunately, the same people wanting to control the social sides are the same people wanting to control the education. So
I
it comes
know.
out
So
to
that's just this
yeah,
whole screwed up system.
yeah.
Oh,
It really comes down
la di
to
da di da.
you got to learn how to arm yourself and
Yeah.
defend yourself to two.
Arm yourself. I
Yeah,
love that. It's
yeah,
true though. Yeah,
yeah. It
you really
is.
do have to defend yourself.
And it comes down to like simple tools and what you do. You say
Yeah.
every year for you, you do a cleanse in the new year for who you follow.
Yeah.
I have
I probably do that a couple times a year.
a couple times a year. I have my tool. What I arm myself with is I chose a number
Hmm.
and I'm like, I'm allowed to follow
This many people.
888 people.
Dope.
And anytime I'm above that number, if I want to
I
follow
should be
somebody
doing
new,
that.
yeah.
I
If
follow like 2,800 people.
yeah, because what I found, I was in the same boat. I followed so many
Oh,
people. I'm like,
way too many
if
people.
if I met you at a party one time or
Yeah.
if we were an acquaintance of some sort, but we may have shared completely different perspectives on the world.
Totally.
But since I had an interaction with you, now I follow you.
Yeah.
Or maybe you were somebody that said something funny once and I'm following you because I hope you say something funny again.
Uh,
But when
I mean, hey.
yeah, when you have a set amount
I
that
need to do that.
888, it gives me a very well, I like everybody that I follow.
Yeah. It's curated
So
to you.
if I'm gonna choose somebody new to follow, some new page or
Yeah.
whatever, I better like it a lot because it means that I have to replace somebody. It
Hmm.
means that I'm like, Okay, somebody
Who's
from my
gonna go?
history. Yeah,
Who's gonna go?
who's gonna
But
go?
hey, that's a really good way to do that. I think that I could definitely use to do that. I need
Yeah.
like a set amount because I haven't gone through that in a fat minute. And there's so many times in my following where I just meet someone randomly at a party and then they're like, "Give me your phone, follow me," and then I'm
Uh,
like, "I don't know
that's
who you are."
that's a sacred thing to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then they get offended when you don't. And
Which I would never want to do, so I just always give them my
I don't
phone.
want to hurt people's feelings.
I know, but I'm like, I don't know, you don't know me, and I don't know you.
Yeah.
Ah! And then I feel
You're
weird about
just a
unfollowing him.
matrix agent. This is a test.
I know, but I do eventually, usually unfollow those people just because it's the same thing. It has nothing against them. It has everything to do with a curated way to keep my mental health intact
The
because I
fun
have to be doing that.
the funniest is when like you have a really good interaction with somebody in
Yeah,
person or something. You're like, "Ah, I want to keep up with this person's life.
yeah.
I'm gonna give them a follow. You follow, and then they're just like this whole other
Yeah,
persona
that
on that
happens though.
all the
I
time.
mean, I do understand too, like even looking at me, like people don't expect me to act the way that I do at all because my social media, like how I portray myself on Instagram, for
Yeah.
instance, not considering like reels and things like that, my style, like visually, I don't come off as the most like bubbly person that I would like to think that I'm pretty bubbly, but I don't come off that way. So I get that on my end too, that sometimes that's not always the case.
Yeah, I love what you're doing now with your podcasting and your long
Yeah.
form content and everything that we've talked about together and coming onto my podcast and
Yeah.
collabing with other creators because everybody's getting to see Emma.
I mean, back at you.
It-
Everybody gets to see you too if this gets
yes.
posted.
Yeah.
So it's
If they're
both of
hearing this,
us. It's both of us. We'll hold each other accountable.
yes,
But I get it.
absolutely.
I also like real shit though. Like I am 100% always an open ear if you need to talk about that stuff because it is intimidating.
It is,
And I
yeah.
get that.
It is to a sense. I think there was how to word this in a way, as I think all people who put themselves out there can relate, is you think about all of the things in your life that could be used against you.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, like
That's heavy.
life's really good right now. Why
Yeah.
would I do this big thing that could potentially mess it up?
Yeah.
But when you're living in fear, what's the Dune saying? Fear is the mind killer, right? When you,
It's so true
it's
though. It
so
is.
true.
Oh,
It's so
dude,
true.
it's ruined my life and times where I've just led with that. And
Yeah.
there's so many things that I could have done when I was leading with fear.
And you really are opening yourself up to attack.
Yeah.
But in order to reach the highest version of yourself, you have to get to a state where it doesn't matter who attacks you. It doesn't matter what anybody says. You can't hurt me. You can't do anything to me.
Sticks and stones
Yeah.
may break my bones.
No, and like in
Uh,
books I read and things I study, like it talks about guard your reputation
yeah.
and protect your peace, protect who knows you, what you're doing, all of who your friends are, where you live,
Yeah.
for obvious reasons,
Of
because
course.
enemies can't attack when they don't know you even exist,
Yeah.
right? But in doing so, in being authentically yourself, you're opening up the door to saying, "Hey, I'm not scared to have enemies. I'm not scared to have haters. I'm not scared. Uh, I have no fear over any negative connotations that anybody could place on me
Yeah.
because I know me, and the
That.
people, the
The people
people
who love
around
me know
me,
me.
yeah, people who love me know me,
Yeah.
and you can have your opinion on me, but I'm not going to listen to your opinion on me unless
No.
your knees hit my dinner table."
Right.
And that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always said this, but you know, somebody judging me based off of a 15-second video or one photo of me or one thing that I said that one time, respectfully, if you're judging me based off of the smallest sliver of who I am and what I look like, I don't think that you have a very wide perspective on the world.
At all. At all.
And if you're wasting your time, hating on me or whatever it is you have to say about me, then honestly, thanks for sharing your time with me, babe. Like,
Thanks
I,
for hanging out.
yeah, and thanks for increasing my algorithm. Because I mean, yeah, that's what I said of me being grateful that I experienced that really intense feedback as a kid from being in acting auditions and, being told no 100 times
Mhm.
plus is because when someone else says it behind, their profile photo of their cat in their one post, I really don't care. You
Yeah.
kind of have to put it into perspective of like, this person doesn't even really know me. And they're not even giving me a chance to get to know me. They don't know me in real life. So why would this hold any weight to me?
And just prepping that it's something like 70 or 80% of comments on the internet are negative in one way or
Yes.
another. So it's just
Yes.
like if you're going out there, like expect it.
It's so true. Yeah. You really do need to put that into perspective.
And like we got since we came up in the social media age, like I remember when there was none. I remember when cell phones weren't around. I remember that whole entire stage and being one of the first generations in order to experience it. We also got to be one of the first generations to experience mass cancel culture.
Yeah.
And
Which, of course, that's very normal that any person who sees it, which is all of us,
mhm,
would be afraid.
yeah, and I say to so many of our friends, I'm like, "Yo, why are you scared of cancel? Like, you should know you're gonna get canceled. You're gonna get canceled for something." But then look at the hypocrisy where I'm like, "Oh, but I don't really want to post because I don't want to get canceled."
Right,
But
right.
it's it's such a thing,
Well, it's much
and
easier to give someone advice than to take your own.
mhm.
So,
Amen. Yeah,
right.
amen to that.
I stand there with everyone else in that. I say that and I know that I need to take my own advice sometimes too, but you have to kind of get there on your own. I mean, it's like the oldest saying ever is, you can take a horse to water, it doesn't mean they're going to drink it.
Mhm.
And I have been the horse many times.
Yeah, many times
I am the
I'm
horse.
thirsty, but
But no, I'm good.
mm-mm.
So, yeah, I mean, I think I'll forever be learning how to relinquish myself from fear
Yeah.
because there's so many things that we're all afraid of, whether it be something as simple as a spider or something as complex as the fear of not being enough or cancel culture or whatever it is for anyone. We all have things that we don't talk about.
Mhm.
But to talk about them is powerful. And I think that it brings light to the situation for other people who aren't willing to admit that to themselves or aloud. And I know that for me, therapy was such a huge way for me to be able to look my fear in the eyes. And it becomes real when you talk about it. It
Mhm.
becomes real when you are willing to put yourself out there in that way.
Mhm.
And although that's really scary, I wouldn't be half of the person that allowed myself to find through failure if I didn't go for it, if I didn't take the leap of faith, if I didn't fail a bunch of times and then got back up again and say, I'm just going to do it until I get it right. And was that fun or easy? No. Is it going to be fun or easy with all the other times that I do that? No.
But you're sure grateful that you have.
But I'm so grateful that I
You
have.
sure are.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm super happy that you're doing this. I'm
Yeah,
stoked.
I'm excited about it. And if I'm being honest, the fear isn't it's not there anymore. It was a thing for a
Yeah.
bit. I will
I
say
was going
that
to
it was
ask
a
why
thing.
now? Why now?
Well,
If not before?
now more so it's a basis of I know how I like to work on things.
Yeah.
You've worked with me on projects.
I
You
have.
understand that when I get something going, I like to go. And
Yeah.
so
Hell yeah.
this in particular is something that I know that I want in my life now. And it's an opportunity to have engaging conversations with interesting
Yeah,
people.
I
And
mean, some of the guests you've already told me about, which y'all will check out later, I want to see. Like, if I think I said this to you, where I was like, even if this doesn't get posted, I would like to grab my bag of popcorn and watch these.
yeah,
And
you
I mean that. I know that like I'm your friend and also colleague, but I mean that. Like, nobody paid me to say that.
yeah, it's some of them are really quite good. And
Yeah,
I'm excited for whoever's listening if I decide to post those ones that they get to go up. And I
you're
think
gonna post them.
I'm gonna post many. I think what's cool is when I'm inviting a guest such as yourself to come, it's hey, we're having a conversation. We're recording it.
Yeah,
This is a podcast setting, but whether we post it or not, it's it's a choice on are we holding that conversation for just you and I,
yeah,
or is that going to be something to the public? And I won't post every single podcast.
that's fair.
I won't.
I'm
but
sure for good reasons
I will
too.
start posting many. And
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
for some of them, it's as simple as, you know what? Maybe that conversation was really impactful for me or the guest,
Yeah.
and we're gonna keep it right there. And maybe I'll have them on
I
again.
think that that's a really wonderful way to look at it.
Yeah.
Not everything needs to be on the internet.
No, no.
And even if it was intended to be, I think that you can realize through how a conversation goes if that needs to be shared or not.
And what an interesting thing that we have with
Yeah.
in today's modern world. If we go for if
In the
we
society we
in,
live in.
in
We live in a
society, we
society.
live in a society. In the world we live in, when we go for a dinner,
Mhm.
we get, a couple hours of engaging conversation.
Yeah.
But how many distractions happen every time you start talking? The waiter's checking in to make sure you get your food, your drink, your phone's
Yeah.
buzzing, you're running into friends. Maybe you have other people
Some
there.
people don't even put their phone down. I think that we have adult iPad kids living among us.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Sorry, it's my lawyer calling. And
Right,
I gotta
right,
take this
right.
meeting, guys.
I
I've got all
know.
these other important things. It's just like,
I think
oh,
it's so nice to be able to just sit here with you without distraction, though.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You get to,
I like to do that as much as I can, though, to be honest. Like, beyond a set. It's important to do that. I mean, hey, we love some good, thought-provoking,
yeah,
engaging
we have good
conversation. Yeah,
conversations.
brother.
It's my favorite thing to do though. It's like,
Yeah. We would have this conversation without cameras, so we have had conversations that are like this many, many times
it's cool because
without
I'm like,
cameras.
okay, what things haven't I asked them? I'm like, I
I
don't know
know. We've talked
completely
about a
know
lot of things. But I think that that's why I'm so excited for other people to get to know you better, is because I've had the privilege of that.
Oh, thank you.
And it is a privilege. And, not everybody on the internet, I could say, is a privilege to get to know. So, and
Yeah,
many are, but some of you are just,
we know some of
you
those
know,
people. We see and
yeah,
interact with
y'all
some of
are
those people.
entertaining as hell, but
You're good at what you do.
yep, but doesn't mean I want to be your friend.
Stay in your lane,
Right.
please.
And leave me the hell out of it.
Yeah, I feel so blessed with the community that we do have here.
We
in
do have a
LA.
really good community,
It's
but it's
awesome.
built, that's a
Yes.
choice.
Yes.
All a choice. And I think it's what you put out into the world, you get back.
Yes.
And that was also, there are times where you put goodness out into the world and you don't get it back, unfortunately. But that means you need to just change who's around you, not change who you are.
Yes.
That's the lesson, is I keep on learning.
You become those people you surround yourself with. We said
Yeah.
it earlier. You become what you think, you become what you see, you become what you hear.
Yeah.
And when you're surrounded by people, what are they doing? They're talking, they're doing things, you're watching them,
Yeah.
you're becoming like them. And it's
Mirror neurons. Be careful.
mirror
It's not just your
neurons,
screen.
mirror
I
neurons.
think that's why it's so important to realize who your real friends are, and, how valuable your relationship is, your family, all sorts of things. I know there's been instances where I've surrounded myself with all kinds of the wrong people, but didn't know at the time. And I can say I'm a much better person now than I was then. Not even necessarily a better person, but a happier person for sure.
I used to make a mistake where I would surround myself with people that I aspired to be like in a route of success. So maybe somebody that's extremely financially successful,
Yeah.
or successful in whatever their lane is. But did those people help drive me to become more successful in the lanes they're successful in? Yes, absolutely. But did they drive me in the right ways?
Mm.
So I started changing.
That's an interesting question to ask yourself.
Mhm.
Because in theory, that sounds great.
In theory, it's like, did it get me to where I want to go? In a lot of ways, yes.
Were you happy?
But am I happy on how I did it?
Mm.
Not always.
Yeah.
And so,
It's an important question. Not to everyone, though. Not everybody values that,
not to everyone. And
which is
so
strange, but
now I'm at a point where I care so much. I've always cared about the people I surround myself
yeah.
with. But I
It's
really,
very obvious about you.
thank you.
Yeah.
I think we're surrounded by some pretty cool people.
We are, always, which is awesome. Makes waking up every day feel a lot better than it used to.
But surrounding yourself with people of real good heart, real good
Yeah.
moral, that I believe is more important than anything.
It is so priceless, dude. It's so priceless. It's really all that matters to me.
Mhm.
Because I think that as valuable as that is to surround yourself with people who, are the best at whatever their craft is, whether
Hmm.
that be making money or, being a creator or being a great lawyer or whatever it is. Those
Hmm.
are really valuable things. But I think that there's ways to learn from those people and still surround yourself more closely with people of good moral.
Hmm.
Because I think that I was very, when I first moved to Los Angeles and everything's shiny and new and everything is still so shiny to me.
Hasn't
It'll
lost its
never
glimmer.
stop being
Yeah.
shiny to me. I'm still so excited all the time and I think it's important to always value that cuz you can be doing all sorts of cool things and then because you keep on doing it, it loses its value and I would hate for that to happen. But I think that the same goes for people where I was meeting all these people doing, like who were, famous dancers or rock stars or podcasters, all of these people in the industry and what they did was really shiny and cool to me.
Hmm.
Still is, but that doesn't mean they're good people. And I think that I did kind of a similar thing where I wanted to learn from these people and I learned a lot about what not to be. And that although they might be really good at what they do, it doesn't mean that they're really good people.
Isn't it a heartbreaking
It's
experience
so sad, dude.
when you come here and at first when you meet like all these people you've watched on TV or you've
Yeah.
listened to their music
And
or
so many of them are amazing, by the
yeah.
way. I don't want to just be the Debbie Downer. Literally, so many YouTubers
So
and
many of
people
them
here
are
I'm now friends with and think are so cool. That also exists.
so many are way cooler than you ever could have
Yeah,
imagined. And
absolutely.
but man,
There
I
are
think
some, though.
I think that
Mm.
there was a couple just people that I admired or thought that there was
Mm-hmm.
something a spark about them.
Yeah,
And you never know if they're having a bad day or what they're going through, but
of
then
course.
sometimes you meet people and they just suck. And
Yeah, to put it plainly.
yeah,
Yeah.
they just suck.
I'm like, where's your mother?
Uh,
Where's your mother? Would
yeah.
she allow you to act like that? Where's your mother?
Yeah.
Shouldn't have to ask that to a fully grown adult.
Yeah, and you can see the
Some villains.
yeah, it's some
Same thing
villains.
what we are saying. Some
Same thing.
villains.
And some beautiful people out here, a lot of our friends where it's like, how did you become this good of a person?
Yeah.
But isn't it there's also that crazy little dance though where you meet some people and you're like, no wonder you're
Mm.
somebody that the whole entire world has eyes on.
Yeah.
You deserve it. Like
Yeah,
you're
which
so great.
that's magical though. I love seeing that.
Yeah.
I think that that's the coolest thing where I'm like, damn, this person really deserves this. Or
Yeah.
this person is really wonderful to be around and they're exactly who they are online, if not better. That's the best thing. But there's a lot of people who that's not the case. So I think that setting your expectation on that and relinquishing yourself from comparison on those people, because I think it's easy to sit here and be like, damn, this person really does not deserve this. And I work my ass off and, I'm mad that because they are
Mhm.
successful and, they're not good people. But
Comparison's a dangerous game. Yeah.
there's literally nothing you could do. I remember I did that a lot. I really don't do that as much anymore, if most days at all. But of course, I'm a human being, and there will be times where I still will do that and be like, "Why is this person who's a horrible human being so successful?"
Mhm.
But I think karma's a bitch, and I think what comes around goes around. And
A lot of the time they're as successful as they are because they're not a good person.
right, and I think that me thinking about kind of what you were saying of like your friends that you surrounded yourself with that were, excellent in whatever their craft was, I don't think that all of those people were happy. And I think that it sounds like that's such a simple lesson, but it really isn't. I think that when it's right up in your face and you have to really learn the hard way of like, wait, these things actually don't hold as much value if you don't have the right people around you to celebrate it with.
Hmm.
You could be on top of any mountain and be completely alone with no one else to see you on top of that mountain. And
Hmm.
I don't think it would hold as much weight to me.
Yeah. Have you experienced that feeling?
No, I don't think so. I don't think there's ever been a moment where I've been like completely alone on top of a mountain, which I'm really grateful for. I don't think I've ever gotten to a point where it was like that. Although I will say that I have definitely taken some time to be really comfortable being alone
Hmm.
because I had to realize that it is so much better. to be alone in a room with your own peace than to be in a room full of people who are, you know, don't hold value to you or who don't want the best for you. Um, I would rather be alone than to be in a room full of people who don't give a shit about me. And uh,
Cheering your name.
I think that it's really easy to just, never want to be alone. I think there's so many people who are so successful where I literally had never seen them alone. There's always 5 people at their house. There's always, a new girlfriend or boyfriend. There's never any solitude or time to be alone with your thoughts. Having time to be alone with your thoughts and realize who you really are without anyone else around is really important. And I had to spend time after like some kind of harder relationships in my life, I think, to be like, it's really not the worst thing in the world to be alone for a little while too. To realize how to better yourself by yourself. Because I think that being dependent on everyone else's opinion and everyone else surrounding you all the time is kind of suffocating. And I don't think that it allows for growth. Now, being around the right people, that's amazing in theory, but we don't always have that luxury. There's definitely been times in my life where I didn't have the luxury of the people that I have around me now. And it was either be, happy alone or be sad around people who don't care about me. But temporarily happy because I wasn't alone. I think that everyone fears being alone. Being alone is not a good feeling for pretty much anyone, I don't think. Being lonely is not a nice feeling. That's not news here. I don't need to tell anyone that. But
the loneliest moments aren't sitting in your room by yourself.
they're not. They can be.
They can be. It's not sitting in your room by yourself. It's not deep in the mountains, in the forest, in a cabin. The loneliest moments are when you're in the wrong room, surrounded by the wrong people.
Right. Yeah. And I definitely learned that here, for sure. Because I think that I had a couple like out of body experiences. I don't know how else to describe that, where you're in a room and you can almost see yourself from above in the room and everyone else surrounding you, and you're like, why am I here? Or how did I get here? And I definitely had moments like that for sure. But I'm really grateful I questioned that, because I think that people go their whole lives in the wrong rooms. But there's a difference between being alone and being lonely.
I can definitely say the loneliest moments I had were when I was feeling lonely, which all humans go through.
Yeah.
And it's so easy that you can go to a club, you can put a little bit of cash on a table, fill it up with bottles,
and suddenly everyone's around you.
You're everyone's favorite person.
Of course.
You're everyone's favorite.
I wonder
person.
why.
Yeah,
because they're not gaining anything from that, right?
Oh man, you're so giving. You're my best friend, man.
This sounds personal.
I got other people who want to be your best friends too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There are a lot of instances like that. This is the land of that. This is the land of opportunity and opportunists.
Yes.
And the club is definitely not the place to start with the right people, but it's a great place to escape if you don't know how to sit there and be lonely.
Yeah.
It's not a good feeling.
There's a lot of lessons you can learn the hard way, and sometimes you have to learn them the hard way.
100%.
It's a great place.
I've done that many times.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a thing.
I've asked myself sometimes, I'm like, do you always have to give yourself the hard lesson in order to learn? So,
no, but I think that you have a more long-lasting impact on yourself. I know that with the hardest lessons I've learned, that there's no question in my mind that I would ever go back to making the same mistake twice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hesitation.
Not at all.
Mm-hmm.
There are people in my life, there are situations, things that we've talked about today that have shaped me into the person that I am. And, I think I learned that very quickly when I moved here. I think that if you are not equipped to come here with your eyes fully open and not be distracted by all the shiny, pretty things around you, then you got a shot.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are not willing to admit when you're wrong, if you're not willing to be alone a lot of the time when you're moving here, I think that it can become a very slippery slope.
So slippery. It chews people up and spits them out.
It does. But if you are willing to remain authentically yourself and unapologetically so, and you're okay with being alone sometimes and you're okay with putting your head down, I think that that allows enough space and time for you to realize, like, oh, this interaction with I had this person, something as simple as that, this interaction with this person meant something to me.
Mm-hmm.
This actually held value to me. Or, this person laughed at my joke because I bought a bottle at the table.
Mm-hmm.
They're two really different things.
Mm-hmm.
Versus, the people in your life that come to you when it's not just convenient for them. Those are real friends who will come to you when it's not always convenient for them, when they're not gaining something from you, when the cameras are off. And I really had to realize that for sure, because it's very easy to be in your world where, you've so much to offer to so many different creators and opinions and really valuable insight on this world, and have people want to take that and then leave
Mm-hmm.
because that's much easier. And that's, you know, morals and all of those things. Those aren't things that a lot of people have here.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, that's a hard thing to accept. But I think that when you find the right people, you know the difference between them and those that are no longer in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I can say with so much confidence that people in my life now have really created a very distinctive roadmap on who's a real person in my life and who's not. And I hope to be that for someone else who needs that too.
And then looking back, like the ones who stuck around, who are still there,
Yeah.
you can tell why they are.
Oh,
It's
100%.
like, oh, I can clearly see why this person
For so many
outlasted
reasons.
all these different versions
Yeah.
of me, and I lasted all these different versions of them.
Yeah.
There's clear reasoning.
However, if all of your friends are mad at you and none of those people from the beginning are left, maybe you are the problem.
Maybe, yeah,
It's
maybe
important
there's a
to
common
recognize
denominator
that there are
Yeah.
times that the common denominator is you
Oh
sometimes.
yeah. Oh yeah.
There are many people that I've come across who are like, why do all my friends like not want to be my friend anymore? Like, why is all of these bad things happening to me? Why? Yaposaurus Rex.
There's a mirror.
Right.
Yeah, let me
No,
get
but it's a
you one.
thing. It's easy to get lost in that than to admit that you're wrong. And I know there's so many times that you gotta admit that you're wrong in this world.
Isn't that a slap to the face though?
Oh, it
When you
is.
realize you're like, I'm the problem.
It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. No, it's true though. It's a thing. And I've been the problem. Like, I'm very willing to admit that there
Yeah,
have been times
me
where
too.
I have been the problem.
Me too.
I don't love to admit that, but it's true. Like, I'm not an all-knowing saint.
Mhm.
I wish I was. That would be a lot easier, but
Or would it?
probably not.
Yeah.
There's no lessons to be learned, then I don't really
All-knowing.
know what
Ignorance
value there is.
Bliss there, Emma.
Yeah, ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
Damn. Sometimes I just wish I was here with my Hannah Montana guitar in my living room.
Back to the good times.
Just back to the
hey?
good times. But hey, I
Kid,
mean,
if you only knew. But
right.
do you know what's crazy? I think about this often. So many people talk about their childhood and they say, "Oh, like I miss the ignorance. I miss this. I miss this." Dude, I love being able to drive wherever I got to drive, eat whatever I want
No,
to
I
eat.
love being an adult. No,
Pizza
I agree.
for breakfast, whatever. You realize why you
Yeah.
can't do certain things. You know, they might add your little tire around your gut or something around like
Yeah.
that. But being an adult's pretty cool. Especially
I love being an
a
adult.
young adult is awesome.
Yeah, I think that I always wanted to be an adult long before I was an adult, though.
Yeah, me too.
And I think that because of, me earning a lot of freedom at a young age from being successful on the internet, that was a perfect example of me just desperately wanting to have my own independence and
Mhm.
freedom. And I think that everyone should be allowed the space to do that as a young adult to an extent too, because making those mistakes is what makes you or breaks you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so grateful for that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God for that. And yeah, I do like eating pizza for breakfast sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes it's called
do
for.
that when I'm, under my parents' watch. Love my parents so much, but I honestly feel like me having distance from my parents too in my young adult life was what allowed me to kind of realize that they're human. I think that when you're a kid, you think that your parents are like these all-knowing adults because you think that all
Nah.
adults just are all-knowing.
They've been around for a while. They must know everything.
Right, right. And that they could never make a mistake and all of these things. And, how dare they make this mistake because they know better. But we're all just living life for the first time.
Hmm.
And I was talking to someone about this the other day who was having a bit of kind of an epiphany about this later in their life. And I don't know what led them to think about this, but they were like, damn, my mom is living life for the first time. And she was having kids for the first time. And there's not a guidebook, and she was doing it on her own, and I didn't realize that until just now. I'm so grateful that I get that now because me having distance from my parents and thinking about all of the young parents that there are.
Hmm.
Like there are people who are getting married right now at my age or, early 20s, whatever it is, or having kids now. And I can't imagine me having like children right now and doing that for the first time. So I don't know. I think that that experience of understanding that parents are not all knowing and adults are not all knowing allowed for a lot of forgiveness and a lot of understanding of my own adulthood.
It's I'm at that weird age now. I just turned 27.
Yeah.
Celebrated my birthday with
Yeah.
you. It's great.
Happy birthday.
I'm at that weird age where now I'm like, okay, if a kid came in, it wouldn't be the end of my world. I could like now it makes sense.
That's funny.
But
I can't relate.
holy, like several years ago, nope,
No,
nope, no, 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 no,
no.
no,
Yeah.
nope. Happy that didn't happen.
Yeah.
The It's cool though. Growing up is cool.
It is cool.
For everybody who's grown up on here, you get it. For everybody who's growing up, still quite young, it's
Yeah.
pretty cool. You'll enjoy it.
I think that there are some people too that, maybe if they didn't have like as fully of a fleshed out childhood or, they didn't have the experience to grow up and be a kid, I think that a lot of that comes into their adulthood too, which is kind of interesting to watch how many people who are in our industry that I feel like have that experience. And I don't really have a huge issue with that either too, because I think that the curiosity that you have as a kid is something that I never wanted to leave
Yeah.
my adulthood. And kind of the blunt honesty that a kid has and how they view the world all shiny and new no matter what because it is all new. I think that that's something I'll always carry with me no matter if I'm an adult or not.
Absolutely. When you
Or work to be that way cuz I don't want to lose that, dude. That would suck.
Oh hell, don't lose that. When you text me on the way here, Six Flags this weekend.
No, actually correction, Six Flags rave.
Six Flags rave. So there's actually an adult version of Six
Cuz
Flags.
why wouldn't you want to do that with your free time?
Down.
Hello?
Yeah.
I don't know. Shits and giggles.
Roller coaster.
Sometimes
into the music.
Doesn't
out
have to
of the
all be
music.
so serious.
I've never been to Six Flags.
No way.
Yeah.
This will be a good introduction.
How bad do you pity the adults though that they're too serious? Six Flags.
Dude.
I need to be drinking martinis.
Right. I'm like, come on. I think that's so annoying.
Get me on some go-karts. Get me in a roller coaster.
Right. Like, come on. We also just went to Universal recently and we're
Yes.
fully just playing Mario Kart.
Yeah.
And I saw so many other adults doing that. I'm pretty sure we all had a great time.
My little nephew, by the way, I was I was FaceTiming him the other day, and he's just like, they call me Uncle Billy.
Oh.
Uncle Billy was at Bowser's castle. I'm like, hell yeah, I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know where Bowser
I'm
lives.
the coolest. We're
Yeah.
buddies now.
Yeah.
That's
drove a cart
adorable.
through Bowser's castle myself.
Yeah, I don't know. I just never want to stop seeing things as sparkly because I know so many people who become too serious in this industry. And honestly, I do really understand why, like when someone's been wronged so many times, I get why someone has a
Mhm.
bad taste in their mouth. I have a whole lot of empathy for that. I think that
They're
it's
just
very
suffering,
hard
though.
to relinquish that feeling when you're really stuck in that. So I have nothing but empathy for that. And this is not whatsoever a diss to people who don't feel that way. I really feel for people who have lost that. I don't think that that can be lost forever. There are times where I've been sour for a little bit too, but I got it back. But that was through the right people.
Through the right
It's
people.
all about that.
But like, isn't it cool though when you go to the grocery store and there's a 80-year-old grocery clerk and they just have a youthful energy to them.
Yeah.
They've got a little pip in their step,
Yeah.
and they're just like, they're there, they're bringing that energy, they're making your day. It's
I
I
was talking to you about sort of the same concept right as I walked in because there's a man who does the cafe here
oh,
in our
he's the
studio,
best.
and he is literally a human ray of sunshine. This man
Mhm.
was just kind of dancing around, making a BLT, whistling, doing his own thing, gave me a free water. Like, I was like, you don't, this man doesn't even know me, but he just made my day.
He's the best.
It's so good to just have that energy. And I don't know, energy vampires are, it's such a silly way to put that, but it is the thing.
We have MD Motivator, another creator we work with.
Yeah.
He calls them goats, everyday goats. So like greatest
Goats.
of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's like
I was like, I don't know why you would call them goats then.
how he
Oh, the
finds
good people?
the good
Okay,
people.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, how he finds who to give money away to or
Yeah.
surprise, change their life. That's what his channel's about.
Yeah.
He looks for
So
people
cool.
who exempt like a different energy.
Yeah.
When you
They
just
stand out.
walk through on a day to day. A lot of people be like, "How does he do that without it being staged?" He'll talk to 100 people in a day.
That's crazy.
Sometimes the first, second, or third person he talks to is a goat.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes 100 people. But when you run into that one person that just kind of it's like,
It
"Yo,
sticks with you.
hey,
Yeah. It
I
sticks
see
with
you. You
you.
see me."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
I
I
think
love
that is
goats.
really cool.
Mhm.
That's a cool way to put that.
Yeah, right. And then it's like,
Just goats.
and you can make friends with everyday people. Like
Totally.
the guy who makes our coffee, we love him. Everybody here
Oh my
loves
God,
him.
I love that man.
Yeah, he's awesome. I had it was my 21st birthday and I'd moved to a new city. And for my birthday party, it was a bunch of essentially goats who somebody close to me at the time brought all
Yeah.
of these people that I would have
All the goats.
interactions with, like a regular from the bar that I
That's
worked at,
so fun.
an
That's
old
so
man that I'd
fun.
go for coffee with,
I mean,
like
those are people I want to get to know better anyway. I want to
yeah,
party with those people.
and cool stories too.
That's
People
awesome.
who are just like consciously aware.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they're looking for friends wherever. They've got stories.
I love that so much.
Me too.
It's cool to see that, especially because I think even something as simple as like someone complimenting you, it's weird because I think there's so many people that go to like the events that we go to
Mhm.
that are kind of standoffish. Like a lot of people are very standoffish because everyone's so concerned with what they think of them
Mhm.
when really everyone's thinking about the same thing. What does everyone think about me? Nobody's really thinking
Mhm.
about each other that
Mhm.
deeply. Even just disarming someone by being like, hey, you look great. Have a great day. It's literally as simple as that.
You girls are so good at that.
I know.
There was a like any gender bathroom
Mm.
at this one party, and I go into it. I hear how girls were talking in the bathroom to each other. I'm
They're
like,
all so nice.
what?
Y'all need to be nicer to each other. Y'all
I-
need to definitely be nicer to each other. I was having a conversation with my Uber driver who might have been a little bit clinically insane yesterday, but
Is
we're
that
not
the
going to
one-
talk
was
about
the
that.
one you recorded?
Yeah.
I
Did
heard
you
him.
hear the recording?
No, I did. I just heard you had a rough one.
I sent it to your girlfriend
Yeah.
because I was like, dude, no way this is real. But before we left Sane Station, we were talking about, you know, the difference of how women treat each other and how men treat each other. Tale as old as time. Y'all need to be nicer to each other. Y'all need to hug each other more. Y'all need to be willing to be soft sometimes and be baby girl too, okay?
I think we need to be okay with eye contact. We're not going to kill each other. Let's
Right.
start
Oh
with
my
that. Yeah.
god. Like it's
Hello,
crazy to hear
I'm
the
friendly.
stories from my male friends of how, it's considered, demasculating to be warm with one another. And I don't think it is at all.
Boys and feelings. What are you talking
See, but that's
about?
boys, not men.
Yeah,
Let's
no.
all hug each other and love each
Ah,
other. You
yeah.
know? And I don't know. I think that to still continue that thought pattern feels suffocating. I don't know, but I know it's not that simple. And I'm a woman, so I won't pretend like I understand that because I don't. However, girls can be very mean. Holy shit, y'all are specific. But women are really good about being like, "Oh my gosh, I love your outfit," or "Wow, you're so pretty." Things like that. These are things that I don't think that are as common with men. And I can't imagine what that would do to my psyche. I can't. And it bothers me a lot. I get feisty about it.
True masculinity isn't the lack of emotion, it's the control of your emotion.
That's
So
fair.
being able to communicate the fact that you're sad
Yeah.
or you're happy, angry, whatever, but keep it under a line of control
Right.
and not just the absence of it. Because it's like
No.
how many you
That
the
sounds
class yeah,
awful.
the classic one you hear all the time is like you'll talk to men and they'll be like, I haven't cried in 12 years. It's like, what
Why have
you
I
don't
heard
feel
that so many
it's like,
times?
what, you don't get
Like, are
sad?
y'all okay?
Not really.
Right, right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Definitely not.
yeah, not really.
That is actually that's funny. That's literally exactly what it
Yeah,
is.
you hear that all the time. So to to truly get into your masculine, it's actually allowing the space for emotions, but
I
keeping
think
it under
being
control.
brave is being vulnerable.
Yep, yep, yep. Bravery and vulnerability go hand in hand.
They're the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. You have to
Uh,
be willing to put yourself out there, become susceptible to damage.
yeah.
But the funny thing about that is you think that you're showing a weakness in your armor, but it actually becomes
No.
your armor.
I mean,
They can't hurt you.
definitely not. I think that allowing space to be vulnerable with other people allows space for them to be vulnerable in return. And I think that that's what we all want as humans is to just feel seen and heard and connected. And it allows for that. And obviously it's so much easier said than done to allow that kind of social acceptance to exist with men. It's not just going to be like, "Oh, I've decided I'm going to be this way, so now every man is going to be this way." It's not that simple. But I think
People.
that starting with you is always a great way to do that. I think that
Yeah,
you display that beautifully.
thank you.
Yeah, because it's true. That is true masculinity. I think that the Latin root to courage, cur, literally means vulnerable.
Hmm. I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah,
Really interesting.
yeah.
The
Remember my dance teacher told me that.
many many of our words, like the sources of the word, the Latin aspects of it, it's like there's real truth
Real
to
life
it.
lessons in
And you're
there.
like,
They know
whoa.
what they were talking about.
Turns out consciousness has been doing a pretty good job for a long time.
Yeah.
And we've been thinking about the same types of problems in conversations
Oh, for
for
sure.
generations.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah, we created languages about that.
I know. I don't know. It's kind of crazy to think about how I'm sure so many cycles have just repeated itself too.
Oh,
Yeah. I don't want to think about that
the
too much
loops.
though.
Okay, Emma, we've been on here for a while now.
It's been a pleasure.
I want to thank you for coming on and talking.
Yeah,
with me.
absolutely.
It was
I'm
great.
so excited for this to be released. I've said it enough times. I'll say it again.
Okay, everybody, we're releasing this one. It's official.
It's
You're
going to
gonna
be
hear it.
released if you're watching this. Support this man like he deserves. No,
Thank you,
you're
Emma.
so wonderful. I'm so grateful to be your friend just as much as I am to work with you. And I think that there's so many cool insights that you have on the world and other people. And I'm grateful to be here. So thanks for having me.
And thank you for coming and listening to Emma and myself today have this wonderful conversation. Hope you're going to be back for the next one.